If you installed Clawdbot this week and connected it to your Claude subscription, there's a real chance your account is already flagged for termination with no warning, no second chances. Just an email telling you your access has been revoked. It's not just the bans. Recently, I saw a Shodan scan showing 954 Clawdbot instances sitting completely exposed on the internet. This is API keys, conversation histories, authentication tokens, all of it is publicly accessible. The CEO of Orchestra AI demonstrated how to extract a private key from a compromised Clawdbot instance using prompt injection. From what it looks like, it took him 5 minutes. This isn't fear-mongering. This is what's actually happening as we speak. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's going on with Clawdbot, why Anthropic is banning users, and what the real security risks are further in depth in real time, and what you should do instead if you still want to run a local AI assistant without losing your accounts or exposing your credentials.
Hey, I'm Johnny Null. I spent years building businesses the old hard way, managing teams, scaling operations, and doing everything manually. Today, everything I built, from automations and no-code infrastructures to fully AI SaaS products, has AI helping in one way or another.
Firstly, let me quickly show you this. In South Africa, we call this a braai.
I build with AI tools that, in my opinion, anyone can learn to use. My mission is simple: to help creators, entrepreneurs, and business owners get clarity with AI. Let's build smarter together and enjoy this video.
For those who missed it, Clawdbot is a self-hosted AI assistant by Peter Steinberger, the developer behind many successful repos. It launched and just completely blew up the indie hacker / developer / non-technical founder industry over the last week or so. I mean, this is serious. We're talking about 6,000 plus GitHub repo stars in a matter of days. The idea is simple. Instead of chatting with AI in a browser, Clawdbot gives you an AI that actually does things. It has full system access, shell commands, read and write, browser controls, scheduling tasks, and it connects to your existing messaging platforms, whether it's WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, Discord, Signal, iMessage, the list goes on. You message it as if you would communicate with a team member, and it executes. That's why people got excited. It felt like what Siri should have been. A real assistant running locally under your control, but where it gets complicated. Within days of bot going viral, users started getting an email from Anthropic saying an internal investigation of suspicious signals associated with your account indicates a violation of our usage policy. And as a result, we have revoked your access to Claude. Guys, this is no warning, no explanation of what you just did wrong, just a ban. And if you were running Clawdbot with your Claude Pro or Max subscription, there's a good chance this is why. Here's what's happening. So Anthropic has a Terms of Service, section 3.7, that prohibits non-human access to Claude outside of the official API. So when you connect Clawdbot using just normal authentication, as some would call it OAuth, you're essentially piping Claude through a third-party tool. And Anthropic's systems are now flagging that traffic as a violation. It's no jokes. An Anthropic engineer confirmed this on X. They said that they've triggered safeguards against spoofing the Claude code harness. So in plain English, if you're not using the official interface or paying for API access, they are treating it as abuse, and not just Clawdbot. Users of OpenCode got hit with the same thing, and it's quite alarming, and it's quite saddening thinking about it. Anthropic even blocked XAI staff from using Claude through Cursor. I mean, they're locking down hard, and on top of that, Anthropic sent a trademark complaint over the name Clawdbot, which was too close to Claude, so the project had to rebrand, and it's now called MoltBot. Same software, same name. But when they tried to grab the new X handle, crypto scammers snatched it within seconds. So now you've got a viral open source project dealing with forced rebrands, hijacked social handles, and a community of nearly 20,000 Discord members trying to figure out what's safe to use. And that's the Anthropic side of the problem. But it gets worse. While everyone is focused on the Anthropic bans, something else was happening in the background. And honestly, this is the part that concerns me more. A Shodan scan recently showed 954 exposed Clawdbot instances. I mean, guys, this is a few days back. I'm just scared to go and have a look now. It must be through the roof. Guys, and these are not instances at risk. These are completely exposed, publicly accessible, many with zero authentication. So when you look at this screenshot coming on the graph, you'll see the breakdown by country. United States, 169, China, 93, Germany, 89, Russia, 78, Finland, 69. These are real servers running right now, broadcasting their gateway ports, LAN hosts, and CLI paths to the open internet. Security firm Slow Mist flagged this as a gateway exposure, putting hundreds of API keys and private chat logs at risk. But hundreds was the conservative estimate. We're looking at nearly 1,000, like I said, this was a few days ago. And here's what an attacker can grab from an unprotected instance. Your API keys, authentication tokens, your bot credentials, full conversation histories across every platform, the ability to send messages as you, in some cases, command execution on your machine. Security researcher Jameson O'Reilly documented what he found. In one case, a user set up their Signal messenger on a public accessible Clawdbot server. The pairing credentials were sitting in globally readable files. I mean, anyone could grab them. In another case, an AI software agency was running Clawdbot with root privileges. No privilege separation. Unauthenticated users could execute arbitrary commands on the host system. Then there's this. The CEO of Orchestra AI demonstrated how to extract a private key from a compromised instance. He just sent a prompt injection through email, asked the bot to check the message, and receive the private key back. It literally took him 5 minutes, apparently. It's insane. This wave of VPS deployment keeps growing, with users ignoring docs and exposing ports without authentication. We're not looking at isolated incidences anymore, guys. We're looking at a major credential breach waiting to happen. It's really happening. And when it increases and escalates, the scale couldn't be more significant. So why nearly 1,000 instances sitting wide open? And it's not because Claude is poorly built. Quite frankly, it is really awesome. But the docs are actually solid. People don't take the time to read it. There's a full security section. There's a command called Clawdbot Security Audit that flags common misconfigurations. The problem is most people aren't reading these docs. Guys, read the docs. I've also attached the link down in the description. They're watching a YouTube video. They're copying commands. They're looking at all the benefits, but not paying attention to what is truly important. In some cases, they're just spinning up a $5 VPS and calling it done. And I get it. This excitement is real. You want the AI assistant running now. This is something we've all been waiting for so long. And it's here. So not after you've spent 3 hours hardening your setup. But here's the tension. Clawdbot is powerful precisely because it has full system access, shell commands, file access, browser control, messaging integrations. That's what makes it useful. But that's also what makes it dangerous if you don't lock it down. The default configuration isn't the problem. It's what happens when you put it behind reverse proxy without authentication, or bind the gateway to a public IP, or even skip the token setup because the bot seemed to work without it. The official docs even say this directly. Running an AI agent with shell access on your machine is spicy. Their word, spicy. There's no perfect secure setup. They're being honest about the trade-off. But when a project goes viral this fast, most users aren't reading the fine print. They're just trying to get it up and running. And that gap between what's possible and what's safe is where things break. Sometimes all it takes is a clear framework to make AI feel human again. Simple, structured, and useful. Inside of our AI school community, you'll find the full curriculum, workshops, prompt vault, and private access to our upcoming beta apps, all built to help founders integrate AI without the overwhelm. Experience how clarity and design turns into confidence in execution with AI. Right, so if you still want to run a local AI assistant, here's how I would approach it. Firstly, stop using Anthropic's authentication for this. If you're piping a bot using your Max or Pro subscription, you're running at a high risk of getting your account banned. It's not worth it. has made it clear they are treating this like a terms of service violation, and they're not giving warnings. They are just pulling access. So what are your alternatives? Looking at LLM providers, you've got options. ChatGPT 4.0 or ChatGPT 5 works if you have access. Gemini 2.5 Pro or Flash. Got solid performance, less restrictive. You can do GLM if you're doing a lot of coding or tooling. Minimax if your use case is more writing heavy. And if your hardware can handle it, run a model locally. Ollama, LM Studio, whatever fits your setup. That way you're not dependent on any provider who can revoke access overnight. And secondly, ditch the virtual private server unless you know exactly how to set it up with the correct proxies. That's a completely different world. And guys, I'm sorry to say this, but I know it's cheap, but a $5 Hetzner box sitting on a public IP is not where you want to run an AI agent with shell access. If you're going to do this, run it on hardware that you can realistically control. And I know. The first video I made it clear that you don't need the Mac Mini. And you really don't. If you're quite sophisticated and tech savvy and know the precautions to take and also the risks and how to evaluate them with a virtual private server, specifically with this kind of setup, by all means, go for it. That's not my area, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. And if you want to do this, keeping longevity into consideration, and this is not just something you want to test and play around with, but actually something you use infrastructurally, you've got two realistic options. So option A is set up a separate user account on your MacBook. This isolates the bot from your main environment, your files, your credentials, your browsing sessions, all in a different user space. It's not perfect. There's still some risk, but it's a meaningful layer of separation for you to start testing it out and see if it's worth investing into option B, which is a dedicated Mac Mini. This is what the serious Clawdbot users are doing, including the product lead of Google AI Studio, who bought one specifically for this. It runs 24/7. It's algorithm trapped. It's air from your primary machine. And if something goes wrong, the blast radius is contained. Now, there was a lot of hype around buying these things, so I'm not even sure if you really, but the truth still stands. It's all contained. The whole point of local first AI is that your data stays with you, but that only works if the machine running isn't broadcasting credentials to Shodan. And if you're still running Clawdbot right now, at minimum, run the security audit. Paste it in there and see what it comes back with. Check what's exposed. Check your gateway. Check your authentication. Check your port bindings. And if anything looks off, lock it down before someone else finds it first. Let's zoom out for a second, because what's happening here is bigger than Clawdbot. This wasn't some sketchy project trying to exploit a loophole. Clawdbot is a legitimate open source tool built by a respected developer using official APIs with a thriving community behind it. The code is open, the docs are thorough, and the project was doing exactly what Anthropic should want. It was driving Claude's usage. It was showcasing real-world applications. It was bringing developers into the ecosystem, and Anthropic's response, a trademark complaint over the name. Authentication lockouts. Account bans with no warnings. DHH, the creator of Ruby and Rails, called it customer hostile. And he might not be wrong. Let me know down in the comments what you think. But when you build on a platform, you're placing a bet, you're betting that the company behind it will support the ecosystem, not undercut it in the moment it gets traction. Those are things to consider. And right now, developers who were building on Claude are looking at OpenAI's Codex CLI, which is Apache 2.0 license, and asking themselves a simple question. Do I want to build on a platform that revokes my access without a warning? Or do I want to build on something I can actually control? That's the real tension here, and it's not going away. So here's where I'll leave it. We've got thousands exposed instances on Shodan right now. We've got Anthropic actively banning users who connect through third-party tools. We've got a forced rebrand, hijacked social handles, and community trying to figure out what's still safe to use. And underneath all of it, a bigger question. Do you trust building your AI workflows on platforms that can pull the plug without a warning? Or does it push you towards open models, local interference, and infrastructure you can actually earn? I don't have the answer for you. That's going to depend on your setup, your risk tolerance, and what you're trying to build. But I'm curious where you're landing all on this. Drop a comment and let me know what you're thinking. And if this was helpful and you feel called to it, subscribe. I'm putting out more content like this, breaking it down of what's actually happening in AI without the hype and without the fluff. And if you want to dive further down into this, having discussions with me, jumping on live calls, just completely geeking out, all of the stuff, also attached our school community down below. I left it super cheap for anyone serious about AI and growing with it. Regarding all the sources, the links, I'll also drop that in the description for you to have a look. And if you've got questions about your setup or not sure if you're exposed, leave a comment or send me a DM in the community. You made it to the end. That already says a lot about how you build. Before you go, drop a like, share what you've been working on, and keep building. Don't forget, your invitation to join the school community is waiting for when you're ready to go deeper down in the description below. See you inside.